Hey guys, let's talk about balance. In particular, the motor cognitive seesaw kind of balance. I feel like that's something that I personally am always craving, balance in my life. And so I'm going to start by talking to you about how this concept applies to me personally. And then I'll give you an example or two of real life situations that I've experienced with kids on the boards. So, for me personally, when I'm feeling dysregulated after like a very mentally challenging day, cognitive, it feels really good to do like purposeful physical activity, whether that's exercising or doing yard work, just something physically intense to get my motor working that does not require much cognitive. So a big one of those for me is climbing. Rock climbing itself, now that I've been doing it for a while, it's become a bit more automatic. And so all of the movements that I'm making on the wall, it's lots of motor. So after a mentally draining day, working my motor a lot feels really regulating. Likewise, if I'm exhausted physically and I'm still going to go climbing, or maybe I've gotten on a couple routes that are very challenging, it feels really good to get on something easier that I'm familiar with that I've done before. So, there's not so much of a motor challenge there by getting on something a little bit more familiar. So, personally, I can totally relate to the motor cognitive seesaw. In more ways than one, I guess. So, on the boards with kids, I feel like the kid or adult that I'm working with and I are always sort of seeking that balance between cognitive and motor, and challenging the cognitive a bit by providing a challenging and insightful lesson, and at the same time, challenging the motor. So gradually and gently working up to the 26 board, perhaps from the 3 boards. And I feel like it's all about staying in tune with sort of what is regulating for them and what is not, and what's causing the dysregulation. Let's say I move up to the 26 board, and the child I'm working with is suddenly very dysregulated. It's probably because I upped the motor a bit too much, so I can bring that down a little bit, and maybe bring the cognitive up. So if I scale back onto the 3 boards, maybe I can ask a more challenging question or have him or her spell a more challenging word. Likewise, if I'm feeding very challenging information, like information that's totally new and complex, having a hard time thinking of an example, maybe like geomorphology or something that like not your everyday average person has heard about. If that's feeling like too much, sometimes bringing the cognitive down is helpful, because then it creates space for you to bring the motor up and challenge them in that way. So for me, it's always about figuring out which way in this moment right now am I going to challenge this person. Do I want to challenge the motor a little bit, or do I want to challenge the cognitive? What would feel good? It's all about what feels good. Thanks for listening, guys.